Welcome to another episode of War Hero to Superhero, helping military veterans and first responders transform their lives from the bedroom to the boardroom. I am one of your hosts, Daniel Faust. Guess what? We made it to December. Thanksgiving is over. Now the Christmas season is upon us. And what are we thinking about? What is on our minds? Initially, you look at 2019, you would say lights, parties, shopping, the food, family, and friends. But every single Christmas, we forget about these things. Once we get in it, we remember it, but once we're out of it is also the holiday struggles. What am I talking about? I'm talking about being overbooked, overspent, overwhelmed. And I have to ask this question, which I'm asking myself right now, and hoping that I learn and you learn and we all grow together, is how do we deal and stay connected to our spouse within the holiday struggles? Because there's so many things that are positive around Christmas time, and there's so many things that could be negative around Christmas time. So instead of going over being overbooked, overspent, and overwhelmed, let's go over and talk about something different and some strategies. So this is inspired by Dave Ramsay. If you go to daveramsay.com, great guy on financial wisdom and overall life. And we want to go over 13 de-stressor strategies to make the holidays bright. We're going to contextualize a little bit, but if you want to learn more, go look up the 13 de-stressor strategies or how to de-stress yourself at Christmas. That's the article that we're going over and talking about. So number one on holiday struggles, I wish I thought about this years ago. Right now, it's pretty simple right now, but I wish I would have thought about this years ago, is set boundaries for your schedule and your spending. When we go over, Christmas can make us overwhelmed and overspent on a regular basis. Millions of Americans spend the average, they say, $900 or more per family and everything else. The thing is that might be just even on a person, depending on what we go, and that's the average. Cyber Monday has been selling huge, even though Black Fridays went down 52%. They're anticipating billions of dollars being spent for Christmas. We've been cooped up for a long time. So as we're going out there, our schedules can get really busy, our spending can get really busy. Maybe put some boundaries on there. This says, hey, you're only going to spend X amount on per kid, per adult, per everything else. Sometimes saying the powerful word of no. So maybe instead of scheduling every single Christmas party and everything else, and this is not even to do with COVID, you can just get overspent and overwhelmed if you go to every Christmas event, every holiday event, and everything else. What events are important to you? What spending is important to you? Do you want to be in debt in the new year and then hoping your tax return comes through? I'd rather go over and do something, which we'll talk about a strategy to not walk into this next year, but if you haven't done it, maybe to do it now, is to say, hey, make those decisions of saying what's important and what's not. What people are important and what's not. Where do you want to be in 2021? Do I want to be going over and carrying credit card debt, or do I want to go over and just have a great Christmas? All right, strategy number two. This one's huge. We're obviously, doesn't matter the COVID restrictions or not, people are going to take either calculated risk or crazy risk, or they're just done with it, and you're going to go over and see family. Maybe you're flying home surged up exponentially. The last time it was really high was in March, and Thanksgiving was huge. Christmas, people are like, they're going to go home, and you're probably going to go home for a couple weeks. So as you're going over and boarding that plane, boarding that train, getting in your car, wherever it is, taking that military leave, going over and finally getting to see your family, strategy number two is avoid family conflicts. And you're like, how is that possible? Well, we know what things our family can get into. Sometimes it's politics, sometimes it's religion, sometimes it could be about sex, it could be about whatever topic. It could be taboo or not taboo. We can't control what people are going to go over and talk about. But you can go over and control how we go over and respond compared to react. What's the difference? Reacting is I emotionally feel, and then I go over and I say what I feel. Responding is making an intellectual choice before going in. Maybe it's Uncle Steve that's going to start talking about guns, and that just ticks you off. Maybe it's your mom going over and talking about your love life. Maybe it's someone else talking about politics or religion or COVID or anything else. We know those topics can temporarily come up, especially the longer in proximity that you are. Christmas Day, maybe not. Christmas Eve, maybe not. The days before, probably so. The days after, definitely so. And especially when you're isolated in a small group or even in a big group, things come up. So you can make that choice to say, how am I going to mentally prepare? So if you want to avoid those family conflicts, think about ways that you can respond instead of react. Think of the people that you're going with. It's definitely helpful, definitely fruitful. Strategy number 3, focus on the cans versus the can'ts. We have a lot of can'ts in this season, don't we? Like, because there's been so many things. Like 2020 should just be blown off the calendar, and we should just say, hey, it was 2019 and 2021. And someone asks, like, what happened with 2020? We have a lot of can'ts that we can have in there, but let's focus on the cans. Just like we talked about Thanksgiving, what we can be thankful for. Let's think about what we can go over and do. We still can digitally go over and connect. We can still go over and do movies virtually. Have you ever seen this? I'll show you this super, super quick. What you can do is that you can go over and connect with family. If you can't connect with them in person, connect them virtually. VR, $300. And I can go over and do a movie night for my birthday tomorrow. That's an awesome can. I can go over and connect with people in that particular. So let's look for the cans that we can focus on in that particular regard. And when we focus on the cans, the holiday struggles get a lot easier in that particular regard. Number 4, know your role. You ever heard that back in the day, back in the 90s? If you're like a 90s kid like me, like, know your role. Well, that is not talking about the rap songs that we used to listen to and then trying to go tell people that. What know your role is actually, where are you going to? If you're going to visit, and this doesn't matter if you're child, adult, teen, or father-in-law, mother-in-law, whatever. If you're going into someone else's house for Thanksgiving or Christmas, we're talking about Christmas specifically, Christmas, and you're going to be there, your role is not your own anymore. Your role is a guest. Your role might be still a kid. Your parents might have specific rules that you went over, or your friends and whatnot. You need to know where your defined space is. A lot of arguments come in because you're trying to go over and be in a role that you're not. When you're living by yourself and you're the family person, and for me, I'm the dad, I'm the quote unquote, one of the people in charge at the house. It's different than if I go to my parents' house or I go to a friend's house. It's not my house. It's not my rules. It's not my expectations. I should be asking before going over and doing, making assumptions. So know your role when you're going into that particular place, especially if you're staying over. If you're visiting, the role is only short term. If you're staying over, the role is longer term. So you want to know where you sit and everything else, and that's going to probably diffuse a lot of conflicts and keep our holiday struggles down. Another one, saying no, or in German you say nein. Nein means no. So I used to be in Germany for 2 years, and when you go over and the power of the holidays and the struggle that comes in is that if you're that yes person, I'll go to that party, I'll go to this, I'll do this event, I'll volunteer here, I'll be this, everything else. And you kept saying yes and yes, yes, and yes. Now you're probably overbooked and you're over mentally spent and you're overwhelmed and you just didn't do the power of saying no. Especially when you're 18 and you're an adult. And I've already mentally accepted this, that when my kids are 18, I don't expect them to come home. Vice versa, that they should not anticipate to come home. It should be an ask in that particular regard. Now, I know it's taboo saying, like, you wouldn't invite your kids over for Christmas? I would, but I'm not expecting them to say yes. They're 18 years old, or friends or anything else. And vice versa, if someone goes over and asks me. So the power of going over and saying no. No is very, very powerful to go over and to say. It will make your holidays a lot easier. Because if you say yes to everything, you might realize that you're overcommitted. And we're already, quote unquote, shutting down for the holidays in a lot of different respects. So let's go over and decide what's the important yeses. I'd rather say 2 to 3 yeses to people that I love and care about than go over and say yes to everybody. Those no's will be good and they'll be more powerful in the thing. And that's a rule of thumb in general if you're a person that always says yes. So sometimes you gotta say no, or say nine. If you want to, you can say nine and shake your fist. That means you're shaking fast. That means it's my last name, it's Powell. So shake it and say no. Don't do it like eagerly, but do it like fun, like that. So, all right. Number 6, and you're doing this right now, but I want you not doing it until after the live, is Social media fast. There is so many things that could be positive or negative. When it's super positive, everybody's like, everything's perfect. And you're like, your life sucks. Or vice versa, that everything is negative and you go towards the negative. Maybe during this Christmas season, instead of just jumping on YouTube, jumping on Facebook and everything else, because we're going to take a break. We're only going to do a couple days the Christmas week. After the 23rd, we're going to go do some social media fasting too. So maybe it's time just to get off the social media a little bit, allow Facebook servers and YouTube servers to rest. Obviously, Disney Plus and Netflix and Hulu, that's a different story. Those are fun Christmas movies. But in that particular regard, maybe take some time and take a break to go do some social media fasting. And it doesn't mean you have to do it the entire time. You decide what's best for you. Maybe it's just Christmas Day. Maybe it's just through the holiday. Some people do that on a regular basis. They usually wait until they're blown up. They're like, it's too much. We should be doing this on a regular basis. 6 days of labor, 1 day of rest. We as Americans get 5 days of labor and 2 days of rest, but really we're working all the time. So let's go find a time to take some rest, and maybe social media might be that help to go and make your holidays not as much of a struggle. Number 7, picture Christmas together and then plan forward. So this is especially because we're talking about in the bedroom, this is husband and wife. You come together and you go over and get married, especially as a military marriage. Real quick, I got married December 18th of 2006. Boom, 7 days later, Christmas. And boy, did I go over and screw the pooch, because she had plans for Christmas, I had plans for Christmas. We didn't come together. It took us years. There's things that I just go over and say, hey, there's things I want. Like I said this year, I wanted a real tree, but then after thinking of the cat, I went over and got a fake tree. And she likes fake trees and whatnot. And I eventually want a real tree. So you go over and picture Christmas together, figure out what works, and then you go plan forward. You get a lot of conflicts. I thought we were going over mom's for Christmas. No, we're going over dad's for Christmas. Or we're not going over any parents for Christmas or anything. And it just becomes a total debacle. So take right now, it's December 1st, to go over and start planning the Christmas now. Maybe you already have it, you already done flights and everything else, but do a vector check to go over and make sure that you're both on the same plane. You want to get into that argument you get to your mom's or your dad's house or uncles or cousins or everything else. I don't want to be here. And then it's like, all day. And it's not like the Faust sponge shake fist. It's more like fist. So try to plan Christmas together and picture Christmas together and then plan forward. Number 8, for you old 80s and 90s kids, if you were raised in this thing and your mom or dad talked about this, the old Christmas club, you're like, what? What is that? So banks back in the day used to have little books, and they used to call them Christmas club books, especially fleet banks. So if you're from Rhode Island and you're about my age, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, Connecticut, you're like, wow, do you remember that? Yes, the little books that went over and printed and everything else. And you put money in a specific Christmas club. Now, yeah, that term doesn't exist. Maybe a Christmas budget to go over and to plan. That will make HolidayStruggles a lot easier if you have that set money in that set account there. Maybe it's a separate checking account, USAA. Maybe it's going over. It's a budget that you go over and have. Like for us this year, we did about $1,500. Next year, we're doing $3,000. But the thing of it is that we're going to start saving next year and drop that money like $300 a month for 10 months, and boom, that's it. Why wait until Christmas comes? Like, I don't know what to buy, I don't know what to say, and everything else. And it just doesn't work well. Most of us get underlying stress, or we're happy for the first few days, and then January 5th or 12th or whatever your credit card statement, or you look at your checking account and you reevaluate, like, damn, I spent a lot of money. And it's not like money to say, hey, you saved it, you spent it, you're excited about it. So maybe go and do the old Christmas club. Put the money under the mattress, put it in a separate checking account. Maybe you take all that money from like Acorn that rolled over to the nearest dollar or whatever plan that you go over and do, and save a little bit each and every time. So I planned that the last 30 days or so. I knew I had an annual tour. I used that and said, hey, this is the money. Next year, it's going to be based on that. And the thing is it shouldn't matter how rich or how poor that you are. Having a Christmas budget is key. And it also teaches your kids and the people that you're with gratitude for who you are and what the season is truly about compared to just materialism. Because we already have 11 months out of the year to do that. So let's at least get 1 month right. Come on, Going from there, number Number 9, this is for the adults, especially for the parents. Plan your sugar. You're like, you're gonna stop me from eating? And no, you can eat as much as you want. But the reason why I say this, especially as you get older, I'm gonna be 39 tomorrow, so I'm gonna wish myself happy birthday. I know, it was just a ploy, it was fun. But anyway, if you guys do want to celebrate my birthday, come over and join us in big screen VR. We're watching a Star Trek movie, so if you got VR, come celebrate with us. So plan your sugar. What's that about? We eat a lot. We eat too much typically, just as Americans. Let's just call it out there. It doesn't matter if it's a child, adult, teen, we tend to do that. Even I have to watch myself, and I'm not a foodie. Really, I'm not a foodie at all. So, but the thing is when you eat a lot of sugar, it comes in, it goes out, it affects your mood. Then you go over and you have the highs and the lows and the dumps. So plan your sugar, instead of just going over and eating 10,000 sweeties and then lose your feeties. you would be in a sense you lose your mental feeties, but go over and plan those sweet treats that you have, so you're not regretting the holiday struggles at the end. I gained 10 pounds. I gained this. I gotta exercise. It's January. I gotta go buy all my what. So why don't you go and plan your sugar so you just don't eat too much? It's better to stem it off instead of just going over and eat like a crazy person. Obviously, you gotta have a splurge day, a fatty day, and all those things. But if you plan your sugar, you'll overall feel good during the holidays compared to and then you need a vacation from the vacation. Going in step number 10, sleep and exercise. Woo! I know. If you're in Dover, Delaware, where I'm at right now, it is cold. I got the space heater in the garage. I'd highly recommend a Honeywell space heater, especially if you're doing things like small spaces and everything else. It works fantastic. Actually, the whole garage is usually toasty about an hour. But we definitely need to focus on sleep and exercise. We tend to overspend and overbook and everything else, and we're doing so much stuff, and we keep trying to hang out with people. We still need to get good sleep. We want to be good for the end of 2020, so when we get out of this, we're good for 2021, not be like, sleep hangover, and then the exercise, because it's such a hard to get a groove back. And as you get older, it's better just to be consistent than anything else. You're 18, yeah, probably this podcast is not for you. If you're like me, 39, 40, or especially if you're military veteran, first responder, we want all ages, but exercise is just good to be consistent all the way through and through, because as you get older, every 10 years, you got it up about 7%, at least that's what the statistics say. So by the time you're in your 70s, you have to do 28% more workout. And then usually you have to cut things out of your diet. So might as well just be consistent now and just do the sleep and exercise throughout the whole entire time. All right. Number 11, downtime. Christmas can go over, and these holiday seasons can take us out of it and just go do. Now, I know COVID slowed down a lot of things, but I'm starting to even see virtual parties. One of our sponsors, Podopolo, which is a dynamic interactive podcasting app, goes over and they're doing a virtual Christmas party for us as the beta testers. So if you haven't gone over and downloaded the app, go over and get back with me. You can go over and do that, and then you could potentially win money too. So you can look back at one of my posts. But downtime is key. Downtime is key. Don't just go over and just go do. You got to have those times and those seasons. We do this every Saturday. We just allow a stream day. The kids get to stream during the rest of the week. They're not streaming. We have a downtime. So especially during the Christmas season, if you go do, have those downtimes through, because some people are more outgoing, like myself, and they can handle not much downtime. Other people need that downtime. And usually when you come to spouses, usually one's way more energetic than the other. I'm that energy ball. And then my wife is more like the downtime. Even on the phone call today, she's like, I was eating and relaxing. And I'm like, my mind's like, eating is a task. It's not a joyful thing to me. So, but she needed that downtime. So you got to balance that in between. So have that downtime. Two other things. These ones are COVID specific, and especially for spouses right now. Number 12, reset expectations. What I mean by reset expectations is that we're hopeful for so many things to go over and to happen. But 2020 has just been a reset of expectations. So especially during Christmas, we're like, it's Christmas, finally these things are going to happen. X and Y and Z and everything else and whatnot. Especially you people that have birthdays, like mine's tomorrow, my cousin's is on the 12th, a friend of mine's on Christmas Day. We already know how to get screwed during that Christmas season, most of us. Most of the people that are December babies, you know what I'm talking about. You get forgotten, and expectations of that is there. We need to overall Christmas-wise, especially husband and wife, in the bedroom, go over and reset these expectations for the Christmas year. There's a lot of things that we were hopeful to go over and do when it was February last year, looking at Christmas and all those other things. We need to go over and reset those expectations, and it's better to go look at what's in front of us that we can expect and rely on than outside things of other family and friends and parties and gifts and all these other things. So mentally just reset the expectations and do ones that are manageable, like can I wake up in the morning and be next to you? I can go over and snuggle with you. I can go over and write you a card. Some people are having a lot of economic hard times. There's lots of ways to go over and say, I love you. Definitely recommend you read the 5 love languages, and even if you can't afford the book, go over and do the app. The app is free. The website is free. Just sharing that might be great to go over and realign some expectations, because you might find out all these times a year, I've been buying so many gifts for you and your acts of service. Damn. You know? So have that time to go reset expectations. Last one. Connection is the present. We're starting off December 1st. We are 24 days away from Christmas. It's a beautiful evening down here in Dover. It's being cold. I don't like cold. But we need to understand that one thing that COVID brought us and the Christmas season brought us for the remainder of the year is the connection. People have been lost by the disease, death, all these other types of things. In each year, we can remember what things we do have is the connection that we have with family and friends, and especially our spouses. If our spouses are with us, even if the marriage is not, okay, rainbows and sunshine and everything else, that we have the connection with our spouses. That presence, that is a better present than anything can go over and buy. Because most people on their deathbed now be like, man, I wish I got that Xbox One S or PS5. You don't get to go see your maker and go over and be like, man, I wish I had more stuff. So the connection is going to go carry. So connection is the present, and that's the best present we can go over and give. So be connected, be present to go over and hand that present. So that is pretty much it for our today about holiday struggles in the bedroom. So I want to thank you all for joining, either through Facebook or YouTube or Periscope or even on Twitch. Again, never thought I'd be on Twitch, but thank you for going over and watching. Our superhero challenge for the day, which we have every single day in our podcasting, Tuesday through Thursday every week, but in the bedroom, is choose one of these tactics to add to your Christmas tradition. Maybe it's plan your sugar. Maybe it's a social media fast and you never watch this podcast again. Ha, ha, ha. I'm kidding on that one. You always come back and watch it so you can do the fast. So choose a tactic to add to your Christmas tradition and share how it goes. So we want to thank you all for going over and joining. I want to thank you for continually going over and being with us. We thank you for going over and being connected with us. So we hope you're having a great Christmas season. If you're struggling in the marriage and holiday struggles are already hitting you, don't go over and wait. 20 minutes free for every military veteran and first responder. We hope to go over and connect with you, and we hope to go over and to lighten up your Christmas and to go have a good new year. We hope that you can maybe go with us tomorrow. I only have a few slots, so if you want to go celebrate my birthday, my 39th birthday, go over and instant message me, and then I'll go. And you got to have VR. You got to have big screen VR. That's the app. And love to go watch some Star Trek movies with you around 8 p.m. EST. Have about 5 slots left. So if you want to come and join in our private room in the virtual reality, another way to go over and connect, because connection is key, we'd love to go over and join. We'd love for you to go over and join, not we to go join, because I'm going. That's like one of my things. So that's pretty much about it. We want to thank you all for going over and joining. Again, we are here. This is always a dialogue, never a monologue. So please put the comments in. This Facebook Live will go longer to answer your questions. And if you put anything in the comments, we'll go over and answer it or acknowledge it in some capacity. And you can always go send us a message if you're struggling. Again, 20 minutes free every military veteran first responder. I want to thank you all. Have a great December 1st. And we want to thank our sponsor, Armory Dog and the Veteran Projects, by this clip. So thank you.
Millions of men and women have served this great country. However, over 40,000 veterans sleep on the streets every night. 20 veterans commit suicide on any given day. veterans have been left without medical services while they suffer from mental illness and addiction. They're dying alone. Join Armory Dog and the Veterans Project to help serve this forgotten community of heroes. Veterans is a place for our men and women who have served our great country, giving them a place to stay and rehabilitate in a safe and positive environment. Please help support the Veterans Project so that these men and women can get back on their feet and find their purpose for living. The Veterans Project will house 10,000 veterans, getting them off the streets, back into society, and utilizing their skills as they once used to serve our great country. Veterans Not Forgotten. Join us now.